we are live, Simon, and I want to. First of all, I want to apologise for draining you for about 15 minutes before we go live. I think, I think it's only wise to kind of go back to where it all started for the love of bikes. Like, where did bikes start for you in your life?
Man, it's weird. It's like, there's always that kind of typical story. It's like, my dad used to ride and yada yada and all this kind of stuff, which he did. He used to ride like old BSAs and stuff like that. But I remember I must have been 7 or 8, something like that. And I used to have this old Harley shirt, buttoned up shirt that I'd always wear to like events and stuff that we go to as a family. I just kind of got into it like that. I used to get little books and stuff off my mum. I'd always ask for Christmas. And it was always Harleys, like, not to sound like a stereotype or anything, but it was. And it kind of phased out. Like, I went to uni and stuff, and I was like really into like Vespers and like Lambrettas and things like that. And then I kind of found the love for it again. I've always been into it as a kid. Like, I suppose, my dad was into it. My neighbour had a bike. I used to sit on his bike. It's just little things like that. You kind of grow up with it,
Yeah, I think so.
It just kind of happens, I think, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. It's crazy to think like with Lambrettas and that though. Like I've had a couple of people on that have shown interest in the Lambrettas and that. Like that was never a thing for me. Like,
Yeah.
my old man's like proper like old school rocker. Like no.
Yeah. I kind of fluctuated. Like that's what my old man was like. Old BSAs and like things like that. But it's dips and waves. 2 wheels, man. That's all I kind of care. Whatever you ride is cool enough,
Yeah, definitely. So like, was you like straight in 16 CBT? You kind of like always had? Is it always been a thing? Like,
I sort of started like a little bit later, probably like early 20s. CBT. Rode around like a Chinese bike. Like that thing was an absolute workhorse. Like I miss it quite a lot actually, because I rode that thing all over the place. And then I got my first Harley, again early 20s, and then I started working in the bike scene. So I worked at the bike shed for a good number of years in London,
wow.
which is where I'm from. I worked there for quite a few years, and I worked for Harley for a brief time in Watford.
Okay.
So I kind of had Harleys then, and then I left there and I worked for Lewis Leathers, if you've heard of them before.
Oh, mate, on my first set of levers. As a matter of fact, the wife of my friend she's actually just tuned in live on Instagram.
Cool.
I had a set of Lewis Levers that I can't say the exact year because I get it wrong, but mate, I mean, easily 40 years old.
Yeah.
And they were my first set of levers when I used to mess around on mini motors. Yeah. Just had an extra piece of lever on the bits that you were going to, more. That's elbows, shoulders. That was the armor. Incredible. Yeah, incredible.
Yeah, I used to run the shop in Soho, like for a couple of years, and like do all the tailoring and stuff. Like, yeah, it was cool. And then I've just, like I said, each Harley went.
I mean, you just say about you used to run the shop, so let's dive into that a bit. Like, what was you doing with your tailor shop?
So like, I was the manager there, like, and it was basically, I was tailoring, so it was like high end tailoring, basically. Someone would come in. It's a little bit obviously different now. They kind of went a bit more down the route of, I don't know, fashion. I suppose in a way, like there's still biker jackets if you want to look at it like that, but they're a lot more of like a fashionable thing. People would come in and I want a biker jacket and all this kind of thing. You still get a lot of riders and stuff, but yeah, man, like, used to measure people up. You'd have like sheep, horse, cow, Rutland sheep, like all these kinds of leather that you could pick. Different kind of dyes and stuff that you could kind of go with it. But it was amazing. Like, I loved working there. Again, you're around like-minded people, chatting about stuff that you're into, networking again,
and awesome
with people.
Awesome. So with that, like, how long was you in that section of the old custom culture industry?
Man, I was like, I was at Lewis Leathers for like 2 years. Like, this is when I lived back in London, and then I moved like back up to Leeds for a bit.
All right, you up this way then, are you?
Yeah, I lived up north for quite a few years. I went to uni up there many moons ago, but I've got a special place for Northerners, man. And then
I'm only like 20 minutes from York. That's where I'm based.
Oh, cool, man! Excellent. Yeah.
My missus is from York.
Lots of pubs.
Yeah, I'm not a drinker though, so I don't know them very well.
I'm the opposite, man. Sorry. But yeah, and then like met my missus and kind of moved down to Brighton. So yeah, back down this way, and then got like a standard job in education, as I was telling you before.
Yeah.
And then the art kind of went alongside it, really.
That's crazy though. It's crazy to think like let alone have you worked with one of the most famous bike clothing companies in the world, like one of the most prestigious. I mean, obviously we know how much an original Lewis Leather jacket's worth. I mean, my same friend has an original jacket, and I'm like, that's a nice jacket, and it's like immaculate, and
they last you for life. That's the thing.
Oh yeah.
Man, I've got a few that I've kind of kept. I mean, one of them I haven't even like got out of the closet that much, and it wears me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Me wearing it.
Yeah. That's awesome.
But it's cool, man. Yeah, like I loved it. Like it was great to kind of be in that scene and everything, and
I suppose just knowing the history, like just knowing. I mean, is it the same building? Is it the same? Is it?
So it moved. Basically, the shop that I was in Soho, but you kind of had like the original in Great Portland Street. I was never in that one. The owner that I was with, because it exchanged quite a few different hands and stuff. I think he picked it up in like the 80s or something like that, late 80s. Yeah, so it was a shop in Soho, and it's pretty like there's not much footfall, man, but it's a destination. People always came to it, because it's got, like you said, such a big name for it.
The history of the Lewis Leather, and like obviously being pretty much the leather that all the rockers, the Ton Up Boys kind of. It's that incredible, and it's crazy, like the world recognized, like the rockers scene, the Ton Up scene, it's known across the world, isn't it?
Totally, yeah. I mean, like they're massive in Japan. They've got 2 shops in Japan. Which is kind of like their big money maker. Like they love it, absolutely love it there.
Yeah, because the Japanese don't mess about. I've had this conversation a few times on a few of the podcasts. Like, they don't mess about. Like they won't go and buy a 50 quid. I've got no problem buying a 50 quid rocker cut off of eBay. Because I haven't got £500-600 or whatever the going rate at the moment is for a Lewis Leather. But the Japanese won't mess about. They'll buy the real stuff. It's incredible. It's incredible.
Yeah. But then that shit lasts. That's the thing.
Yeah.
All that kind of stuff. And then you look at like Japanese salvage denim and all that kind of stuff. Like this is the kind of thing that lasts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, it's amazing. It's good stuff.
but like I said, then unfortunately it's like, and this is kind of like where we spoke off air, it's like, if you're in a position to do that, absolutely do it. Own it with pride, like represent that, like say, don't hide everything away. Let other people see even clothing. Because like I said, there's some people that would love to just know that they've got their hands on a jacket that's 60 years old, the history behind that. But at the same time is the person that can only buy the 50 quid jacket off eBay. They have an equal right to be in the same place,
100%. Of course it is. Yeah. I mean, like, fuck me, man. Like, if I didn't work there, would I have one of their jackets? Probably not. Like it's hard. Like, but that's the thing. You're right. Like there's no way you should be like neglecting anyone. Everyone's included with it.
Yeah, absolutely. So you went from So you worked at Lewis Levers before you worked at a bike shed or after?
Yeah, so Bike Shed was like 30.
I've not been. I'd love to go. What an incredible thing they've achieved there.
Yeah, it's cool, man. I was actually at their show last weekend.
Yeah, I missed it.
I go most years just to kind of show my face, say hello to everyone again. But yeah, I was there first back in. Oh man, you're testing me.
I think I'm 10 years, is it? 10 years?
Yeah, something like that. Maybe a little bit less, I think. Probably like 8 years, something like that.
Okay.
But again, I was there for about 2-3 years. Again, working in the retail kind of sector with stuff. But yeah, they're a great bunch there, man. Like they're really, really cool. And then, I kind of wanted to leave and an opportunity came up with Harley and I was like, oh, like amazing. Like my marriage kind of met in my head,
Having else sits there,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But yeah, and then obviously selling bikes and stuff. And then I was only there for kind of a shortish time.
How did you feel you fit in there? Did it, because I can imagine, I mean, this is only from an side view, like idea is, I can imagine that Harley's lost what it really was meant to be. Like it's more of a numbers game now. There doesn't seem to be that whole, I don't know, this is only from the outside, and obviously as a matter of fact, there's actually a lot of people complaining about how Harley have gone now.
Yeah.
Did it have that, could you see that, like where it's lost its thing, or was it still
yeah,
I'm not saying it right, but to be honest,
no, you've hit the nail on the head, to be honest. I mean, it's a corporate company, and that's how it is. It's, you'd get people walking the door. I sold bikes, and it was fucking amazing. Like you got some people coming in being like, I want to buy my first bike, da 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 da. And I do remember on some occasions, I'd kind of like walk them around to my bike outside. Not that it was like old. I mean, it was like 2008 at the time, but I'd done a few bits to it here and there. And I was like, you could kind of do something like this or whatever. And they're like, oh yeah, great. That's really cool. Like yada, yada. But yeah, kind of sort of behind the scenes, it's a money-making thing. You're right. Like I don't really think it's got the authenticity that it used to have.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean.
It's there's a lot of people aren't afraid to express how they feel about the way it's gone now. I mean, it's, there's a lot of stuff on and obviously anyone can find it. It's all over Instagram. It's all over social media. Like some of the people that are massively in the scene, building bikes, selling them. They're like Harley they've just gone nuts. Like with the way they're doing stuff. And it's like, it's almost like spending 10 grand on a bike now is not really enough to kind of warrant their time. That's, and I know someone personally that bought a bike 6-7 years ago. It wasn't very old, spent a lot of money, paid cash for it, and was almost left like waiting on the side in the showroom because it was like they weren't buying one brand new from them. It wasn't the top whack. Like I say, he didn't say that in them exact words, but it was almost like you think, fucking hell, is this not enough?
Yeah, of course, man. Yeah, totally. I mean, like, kind of going on to that, I even remember like some separate times where, same customers would be like, I've got this much money, I want to buy like 48 or whatever it may be. And I'd probably be like, mate, try and like buy one second hand. Yeah. Bit of low mileage, you'll feel way better off with it, and then you can kind of do what you want to it instead of buying a brand new 48 or a Sporty or whatever it may be, going through 8 of those catalogs on the sides and spending the same amount to get it where you want it to be.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Exactly. Yeah. And I say obviously it's great that people are buying them because obviously it's keeping,
of course,
keeping Harley going and that, and obviously at the same time, it's an incredible brand and what they've achieved. But I think obviously we're never going to have the balance we want. We're never going to have a company continuing to build bikes and sustain a business at a price that most of us want to pay. It's just not going to happen, is it? It's
a world we live in at the moment.
Yeah. It's like I say, I was, obviously we said off air, like the idea that you paying more for a 48 than what you're paying for a Heritage or you know, or a Street Bob or anything. You know what I mean? 1450, a bigger. The idea that you're paying more for an 883.
Yeah, exactly.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's mental.
It is crazy.
But yeah, you know.
But so you were at you bike shed,
Harley.
I mean, that's it, that Harley, and then obviously Lewis Levis. I mean, mate, and the thing is, like, you just say these things like they're like, yeah. I mean, this is what's incredible. Like for me, being an outsider, it's like it's exciting. I like these are iconic places. I mean, I know the bike shed's still fresh, new to the scene, somewhat, you know, compared to like the Ace Caff and even Squires up in up in North Yorkshire. But like what they've achieved and is incredible. Like, and these are places that people around the world would probably love to go to a Lewis Levis shop or you know, go to the bike shed, especially now. And you know, Harley's around the world, but
of course, yeah, you
know, obviously incredible. Like, and you say it just like, yeah, well, I worked there. It was really cool. But it's like these are awesome places to work.
You know, trying to be modest, you know, like
no, but that's what I mean. That's what like so exciting for me from the outside. Like, you know, it's like I had one of my guests on. She's an artist, lives over in Spain, from Canada originally, and she sat down and had dinner with Ayrton Senna. You know, like she's had Ayrton Senna around her house, like back in the day, like, and she said just like that, like it was just I know who they are, and that and whatnot. Due to her husband's career is how she got to know, you know, she sat and had dinner with Ayrton Senna, Michael Schumacher, and it's just like, wow. And she just said it so like, and I was just like, whoa, hang on a minute, like,
just casually.
Do you know what I mean? And it excites me. It excites me, and it's like something I always say. Like, I hope people can really kind of pick up on like how much it excites me. And it's like, do you know what I mean? It's like,
of course, I will tell you one quick story actually about Lewis Levis. When I worked there, we took it to the 101 show. If you've heard of that, So, flipping heck, one of their first ones they'd done anyway. So we set up a stall. Since I was a manager, I was just trying to like see over everything. So I kind of had my back away, and I just heard this like deep voice. And he's like, "Hey man, have you got these in a size 11?" And I kind of looked like that, and then I went like that, and I was like, "It's Jason Momoa."
I literally was about to say, was it Jason Momoa? Because he went and bought some bikes from the 101 show, didn't he, as well?
Yeah, from Lucky Luke it was. Yeah.
Wow.
But I just kind of felt myself. I was like, I'm sorry, I don't know.
Oh, mate, that's all. And do you know what? And that literally to me is like, I know I'm probably over it. Like, how exciting, how cool. Like, to be able to catch that on this little podcast that I'm doing, like, to be able to catch the fact that a normal dude has simply met one of the most fucking iconic people in the scene now. Like, you know, Jason Momoa is like keeping alive what Harley really did stand for, like what people really like, that, like, you know, like the 48s, the WLAs, you know, like that whole flathead, all that stuff that we all love, like, and to get somebody as respected as him, and like, and you've simply turned around and he's there. It's fucking cool as hell, man.
Yeah, it was mad, man. And I was just kind of like, oh, we haven't got them, but you can go to our store.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
Cool, man. It was cool, and it's a great show. Like 101.
What was he? So what was he like? Like, you know, did you get to speak to him for a bit? Like, what was that all about?
It was quite a brief encounter, to be honest with you. Fun. Like, it was pretty brief. It was, you know, it's one of those things that kind of caught you off guard a little bit more than anything. You know, I would have loved to have turned around and be like, you know, Aquaman's amazing, but and had like a chat with him. But it's too like in the moment with stuff. When like you said, someone who's keeping the stuff that we like alive, it's almost like a little bit of a shock. You're like, like, man, wow, it's cool to see you here just as like everyone else, you know, just cracking on.
That's awesome, because like I say, obviously that's how he appeared. That's how he appears to be on, you know, on what he's doing with the Harley scene, and obviously he did that big program on Discovery. I believe it's Discovery, and I can't remember what it's called now. I haven't had the chance to watch it, but like it's incredible. It's incredible that, you know, I think the fact that he's been able to become such a big A superstar, and and still take time out for what is clearly because none of this stuff's cheap, or if you do get it cheap, it's a lot of hours to get it all rebuilt, and to keep this stuff going, it's not one way or another. Whether you've got a big budget, it still requires time.
Of course.
Or there's always that to it. And I think that kind of like we spoke briefly off air, it's like it's almost upsetting for someone that just decides this scene's cool and has deep pockets to just kind of buy their way into it. Like no one likes that. No one likes that,
No, of course. But then, again, when we were chatting off air, I think it's people who can kind of do that it's a frivolous nature, and that's cool. You're buying shit and you're doing that. That's totally cool. Like, respect to you. But to me, things like that just pass. What's the next thing I can afford? Like, things like that, as opposed to just having a goal, man.
Exactly.
Like, for example, the bike I've got now, like, I love it. I absolutely love it, and I trade.
Are you on a sporty?
Yeah. I'm on a 96 sporty with like it's a hardtail, but with a suicide shift.
Oh yes.
And I love it, and it's amazing. And I just traded I had a Softail for it, and the guy just swapped it straight up.
That's awesome.
You know what I mean? Awesome. Like, yeah.
Yeah, 98 sporty. Was it 1200 or 883?
1200. 96, sorry.
96, sorry, 96.
Yeah.
Awesome.
96. With a foot clutch, which kind of took a bit of time getting used to around Brighton.
It's crazy, isn't it? It's crazy. Like, I got one on the 125. It's fucking. I had this conversation with my dad, right? And I said to him, it's called suicide for a reason, suicide shift. And he's like, and it because it is. It's like trying to set off on a hill.
Yeah, or just trying to balance, I mean, I'm not as hardcore as like to getting rid of a front brake as well. Like, there's no way I could do that around Brighton.
Mate, I'm wanting to because I'm in the process of rebuilding my 125, and I spoke to MOT guy. It's like, mine's a 2010 Chinese 125. I spoke about it loads of times, but he's like, no, you need front brake, and I'm like, yeah, but do I? And he's like, no, and so it's like, unless I go and buy another set of forks, because obviously I want to shave all the lugs off and smoothen them all out and whatnot.
Yeah.
But I say, obviously a 125 is not bad because it's flat out. You're going to do 60 and a bit, but obviously on a 1200 sporty that'll cruise at what, 80, 90.
Yeah, man. Like, it's because it's so light as well, man. Like, the thing just flies.
Yeah.
But...
yeah. What? So like, are you running like? Because a jockey shift's like more of like a short shifter in it, like down. You lean down to shift.
Yeah, so I've got a jockey shift. Yeah, and it's just behind me.
Yeah,
like, it's because of the position I'm in.
Yeah,
it's comfortable as hell, man. Like, you just you're clicking up, clicking down.
It's fucking cool as fuck, isn't it? Like, at the end of the day, no one does it for I said to people, because mine's like a stupidly long lever, like it's fucking throw, like literally like that, and it's right up, like next to my tank. There's pictures of it on Instagram where I'm rebuilding it at the moment. Big skull on it, and it's just outrageous. And like I say to people, like, no one does this because it's practical. Like, you feel cool as fuck riding down road. You're like, bab, you know what I mean? It's like, you just feel fucking cool. And that,
of course it is. Yeah. Style over practicality, always.
Absolutely. It's it is something else, isn't it? Has there been times where you've wished that you didn't have a fucking foot clutch?
Yeah. It's normally setting off and like riding with mates. Like, it takes you that extra second or two longer to pull off from lights, or like I said, like going fucking hill starts, man. Like, or just trying to find everything and not fall over it like a twat. Like,
have you got that mate that you get him to sit on the back, like he comes up behind you on his bike, like, just hold my back wheel as a set off. Like, I've seen videos where someone butts up behind him and just like holds them there for him whilst to set off. I think
I'm too stubborn for that. Like,
leave me alone.
I can do it. Like,
I've got this shit.
One day, but
mint. So have you got are you building anything you're building at the moment? Another project bike or?
No, man, no. I've got like I've got that I've got like a 94 125 Yami,
awesome.
an SR, and then I've literally just been given for free by a mate a mutt.
Oh, sweet.
Just to give to my missus. Like, there's a few, bits here and there that I need to do just to get it running. But that Yami SR that I've got, the 125, later on down the line, like, space is pretty hard here. Once I get a garage, all this kind of stuff, I've always had this dream to turn it into, and I can never pronounce it right, like the old school Japanese motorcycle gangs.
Oh, with the high race sissy bar and the retro fairing. Oh, sweet. Yeah, I can't remember what they're called.
Bonzulo or something like that.
Yeah, like proper like metal flake, like tinted yellow lenses on the front, and sick,
it's ridiculous at the front and back.
Yeah, stupidly long exhaust pipes and
exactly. Yeah, it's kind of been my dream to turn that into one of those.
Yeah, man.
But that'll come, that'll come with space and time and stuff and money, obviously.
Yeah. Because like you say, even doing a 125, like it's like paint's not cheap now, is it? But mate, that'd be cool. And will you document that on your channel?
Yeah, I think so. Like when I do it, like I said, all my money's going into my artwork at the moment. So like I'm just trying to like put everything into that, and if I sell a lot more, then I'd kind of start building it, like as and when I can. To be honest with you, I'm kind of like I'm just out as much as I can on my bike.
Mate. Which
instead of like building stuff.
Yeah. Which, to be fair, that's really what it's all about, isn't it? There's you can't find. There's no happy balance, really. I suppose winter time is for chopping stuff up and that, but
exactly.
Obviously, you've just mentioned about your artwork, so that that's kind of like the idea is like, obviously, like we spoke at the beginning, like kind of get an idea of like where bikes started and all that.
Of course. Yeah.
Like so where did the idea that I'm guessing obviously you're trying to turn this into a full-time business with your artwork. Where did this all start to come about?
Yeah, I mean, like that's the dream at the end of the day. Like I'd love to. I think any artist would love to be like a full-time artist, because it's a passion at the end of the day. But I've lived by this thing that my oldest brother always said to me. Is just like it's about the journey. It's not just about the end goal, which I'm a firm believer in. Like I want to stick to that journey, and just whatever happens along the way is a bonus. Like. If you're a firm believer in what you do and what you want to do, then like I was saying to you off air, man, like things will come.
Yeah,
good things will come.
Yeah,
like
definitely.
Sticking in your lane.
It is like obviously like we were speaking quite a bit when we before, but it's like it's like trying to make sure that you're making the most of everything on the journey. It's like, and that's kind of like where obviously I was saying to you earlier, like. With regarding what I'm doing with my podcast, I do feel that something's because obviously this is every opportunity I have to speak to people. It's like like we said earlier, like it's a magical moment. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like I just want to know that I've been able to capture that moment to the best that I'm physically able to do. Like with technology or whatever it is, and
cool.
Because obviously it's an opportunity. It's like to sit down with people, and podcasting is an incredible thing. I mean, it's booming right now, and like I just want to make sure that I can get the best out of it on every single episode. And
definitely, yeah. And like listening to each other and stuff, man, it's important, especially in this scene.
It is. It's it's like obviously I've listened to people on YouTube, like obviously trying to tips and tricks on how to improve, and like and. Big podcasters say like one thing that podcasting does that no other platform can do is it creates a connection. It creates like contact, like you get to almost become friends with people. I've been able to reach out to people I've had on the podcast and like ring them up, like, and talk to them after. Like I mean, I have no doubt people go, "Oh, fucking hell, it's him again." You know, oh shit! Fuck. When I said to him, "Oh yeah, here's my number. You know, give me a call," I'm like, "You're gonna fucking regret that."
Yeah. Of course, yeah.
You
But
know?
then again, it's like you're right. Like, you know, we're chatting now, like,
Yeah.
and yes, it's through a screen and stuff, but like, there's not enough of that, and I don't. You find out a lot about each other. You know, the stuff that you're asking and
Yeah.
the paths that you go down when you're chatting, man. Like,
Yeah.
you're right, and that's important. It's making human connection, isn't it?
Well, like at the end of the day, like it never, you know, like, and that's like kind of going back to what I said earlier. Like, you've worked for some, you know, you worked for like one of the probably the biggest iconic leather company that people loved around this culture. You know, like that people around the world would love to just get their hands on, just to touch. Like, I know it probably sounds somewhat like maybe a bit dramatic, but like there'll be people out there that would love that have watched, you know, some of the big Ton Up Boy movies and things like that, and thought, "Oh fucking hell, this is cool." Quite clearly, because it has become a thing, you know, around the world. And obviously, people that are like, right, what is the best, and you know, maybe not being able to get their hands on one, or like, and like you, like, you know, kind of, I know I'm going back over it again, but like you work for that type of company, it's like it's fucking cool, you know. It's you know, and that's what podcasting, like, I wouldn't have known that, and probably some other people that have probably met you in person and know you to have a beer with, like, you know, an associate might not know that either, you know. It's like,
well, it's yes, and it's nice to kind of have that effect on someone when it's just like, yeah, you know, this is a job, like in the past and stuff. Like, it was amazing, but yeah, totally, man. But yeah, you're right. But kind of going back to what you were saying with it,
about your art,
like I studied fine art, right? So like a long time ago, up in Leeds. Not that where it began or anything, but I've always been artistic, I suppose.
Yeah.
I hate to sound like a little bit of a cliche, but in lockdown, I kind of started experimenting with like fluid paint and you know, kind of messing around with different textures and psychedelic looks and all that kind of thing. So it kind of started there, really. And then obviously being into bikes and stuff, I just started marrying the two. Yeah, kind of using a few like 35mm photography. Like my missus, some of my pieces, she'd be on the back of the bike taking the photos. I'd get them printed off, and they're in some of my main pieces. So I just try and keep it all authentic, you know, so to speak. Like,
so it's not like
riding on
downloaded. You like you've earned that picture. You put you put the miles in, you put the, you know, rubber to the tarmac, and like it's not just like you say. It's like you said, that your brother said, it's the journey to create that piece. It's actually been time and effort involved 100%. In that.
Yeah, of course. And then, but like to sort of counteract a little bit with that, like, you know, I'm a firm believer in like collaborating and like helping each other out. So it's been the same thing. Like I've done many a call out with people, just been like, send me your photos of you riding, trips that you've been on, whatever, and then I'll make a piece out of it.
So you actually, so obviously, when you're creating a piece, so are you putting paints on top of a photo?
So there's a few different ways. So some of it's kind of like a layering technique. Yeah. So if they send me a photo, so sometimes digitally, I'll move the photo around and then I'll print it out, and then I'll paint it, paint onto it, paint through it, and stuff like that.
Right. So it's not just digital, like you say. It's not digital art. You're actually physically creating the artwork.
It's a mixture. So it's a mixture. So I do obviously digital. If someone wants like a print, I'll do it digitally, of course. But then I do paintings of it. Like I've done a full Easy Rider like series and stuff. So yeah, it's a mix. I'm like a mixed media artist, if you want. That's how I've always kind of sort of gone by.
That's cool.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer in using all different types of medium and kind of like rolling with it.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And like, when did so like obviously lockdown, it was kind of, you just had this, was psychedelic paintings always been a thing, like that style of artwork? Has that always been a thing for you that you've kind of been drawn to?
Yeah, sort of like like I've always been like interested in like expressionism and like being expressive in painting. You know, like I fucking love like Jackson Pollock stuff and art like that, where you can see movement and like you can see shit happening. Like it doesn't necessarily have to be like a beautiful landscape, something like that, but you can fucking feel the energy of like an artist within it, you know. So it kind of sort of sprung from that, but again, it's experimenting with mediums that kind of got me into it as well. Like I love experimenting with stuff. Kind of felt like a bit like a science project when I first started out. Like
I'm with you.
Moving the paint around. Like I paint a lot of the time with a straw, so I kind of blow the paint around.
Yeah, so it kind of takes its own journey. You know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's cool.
Let the paint do the moving. You know.
That's awesome. And
like stop smoking because I'm getting short of breath as well.
Have you done any like teamwork like on bikes? I mean, because at the end of the day, you know, that'd be a cool to be able to, because obviously you can do that. Is it where you can? It's like sublimation, where you can.
I know you can kind of dip it. Is that it?
Yeah. Well, my friend had an incredible setup where he used to do hydro dipping and that, which is kind of like what you're saying with hydro dip. But I've seen it where it's kind of like hydro dipping, but whatever film it's created on, like when you put it onto the paintwork, it almost like dissolves and sits on the paint.
Right. Yeah.
It kind of looks. Do you know that? I can't really know the best way. And kind of people will go, "Well, it's hydro dip," but it isn't. I can't remember how they do it.
I know
they
exactly
basically wet the film. They wet the film and they sit it on, and it just sits on and stays.
Right.
Kind of like a hydro dip, but it isn't exactly the same because you're not dipping it. You're laying it on.
Right. Okay. Got you.
The kind of where I'm going with that is it'd be really cool. Imagine if you took one of your ideas. It'd be, you know, and I reckon there'd be people that would want that, you know, because it's a personal picture to them with your, because obviously, as an artist, you know probably better than anybody, it's really hard to create your own identity.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what I mean. Like to be able to create, like obviously, you know, Ed Roth, like, you know, these icons, like they obviously they were in a different era. Like they didn't give a fuck, but they just created what they wanted and stayed true to that. And obviously, the fact that technology has opened up the world to even more artists. I've never seen anyone do your work, so I think that you're already on the right path.
Thanks, man. Yeah.
To your own identity, you know.
Yeah.
Which I think would be cool if you started doing it on Teamwork or Crash Helmets.
Yeah, I mean, I've slowly started to venture. Let's say that. So, like,
awesome.
I've done a load of pieces on some sheet metal. So, which again, weirdly, kind of, you'll see on my page, like, happened by accident a little bit. So, using this stuff called like decoupage or like Mod Podge stuff, I was just painting it on the metal, left it overnight, and I had a chemical reaction with the metal.
Right.
And basically, it just looked sort of rusty / like caramelly almost.
Yeah. Yeah.
It still had that fluidity like I've been doing with all my other pieces.
Yeah.
So I've done like a whole series of like metal sheet work again, where I've incorporated the photos and fluid paint and stuff, and started to kind of engrave stuff. So I've got a little engraving tool.
Yeah.
So engraving pictures within it, and I did, I recently had it was March time, had an exhibition at Crazy Horse.
Okay.
Bury St Edmunds. The guys there are awesome. Like they're such an amazing team.
Yeah, they are. They've been around for a while as well, haven't they?
Yeah, they're legends, man. Like I hope they're watching because they've done.
I hope they're watching. It means I'm doing something right.
Yeah. They've helped me out massively, man. Like they've been absolute heroes. But yeah, I had an exhibition there, which some of my pieces are still up there at the moment.
Wow.
But I was sort of like panic stations right at the last minute. And I thought, fuck, you know, I've probably got too many pieces, or if I've not got enough. And then I saw this old like tank that I just had left in the corner. So fuck it. Right, let's just chuck it in, and I'll just chuck loads of paint all over it and blowing it all around and stuff. And so yeah, that's kind of as far as I've ventured with it. I would like to sort of give that tank a bit more finesse and maybe kind of go down that route, you know, like of doing helmets, of doing stuff like that. I mean, what I love is, to be honest with you, and I've always kind of said this, even with art that I like, is I like to keep people looking at it.
Yeah,
you know,
the more you look, the more you see. And
exactly that. The more you look, the more you see. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, you know, it's a painting of a motorbike or a landscape or whatever, and that's all it is. It's like, it's beautiful, and that's what it is. But you know, I want people to kind of look and be like, "Shit, I missed that before."
Yeah.
And obviously experimenting on flat surfaces at the moment, like to keep people engaged with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I will at some point, you know.
I think once you start doing it, I think like, because paintwork's timeless. Like at the end of the day, like you know, I've noticed recently there's people going out and learning how to distress paintwork, like how to, you know, I mean, and it's incredible what they're doing. Like, you know, one of the biggest custom painters I think at the moment in the UK, like paint by Matt, you know, up in Yorkshire.
Yeah,
like hear the stuff he's doing, and you know, like, yeah, it's incredible. It's incredible, like how they're able to get like the marble effect inside the flames, and then they put down the gold leaf in, and it, you know, and all that. It's like, fucking hell, totally. You know, like,
yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Patience. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but like there aren't. Yeah, but like you to be able to do something like that with your style, and then I think once you become an artist, that people can look at your work and go, "That's Simon's work." Like, when you're able to do that, that means you know. I wouldn't say you've made, like, no one's ever made it, because obviously your art is always going to alter and progress and shape and take different journeys. But to be able to become an artist that like people recognize your style, like that's incredible. You know, like,
which I hope to get to, you know, at some point. I mean, it's, you know, things are lifting off, I think. Like, I mean, I've been doing this kind of as a hobby to start out. Like I said, started a lockdown and I kind of stopped and stuff like that. But for the best part of like a year and a half.
Yeah.
But like I said, if it wasn't for Crazy Horse and meeting them and all that kind of stuff, it's kind of lifted everything up off the grounds. Like I'm displaying at the 101 in 2 months' time in Margate.
Awesome.
And then obviously at Custom Culture in Lincoln.
Yeah, which I'm going to be there as well.
Exactly, yeah. We can hug it out then.
Yeah.
I'm just going to look at you through a screen though, just to make sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's you. Yeah.
No, that's it.
Yeah.
Can't get away from the fucker.
Yeah. But yeah, man. And then like, hopefully, I mean, I've been put as a pencil, but next year in April, well, I mean, they said I'm first on the list, but displaying in the States at the one show in Portland, Oregon.
Wow.
Fingers crossed, man. So I'm kind of
yes, mate. And if you need someone to carry your luggage,
yeah, we could do a constant live podcast the whole time.
Do you know what I mean? You imagine it, fucking hell, people aren't playing like, will you shut the fuck up? Yeah. We've heard about Harleys now and paint, and like, seriously, shut up.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But fucking hell.
But yeah, man. So fingers crossed, it's kind of sort of like getting there, man. But like I said to you, it's not to sound pretentious or anything like that, but it's about the journey and these things that are happening. Like even chatting to you, like I said when we were messaging, I was like, "Fuck, that's amazing!" Like, I'm really happy to be on this.
Yeah, and, that's wicked.
And support each other, you know. Like all these things are along the way, they're like bonuses, you know?
Yeah, you know, it's and that's it. Like for me, it's like I've had like everybody. I treat everyone like it's like fucking hell. Thank you very much for taking the time to sit down and like talk to me. And I'm saying, you know, and the people that do engage, they are regularly engaging, and you know, it's like it's not that it ain't enough. It's just that like because it does, and I'm repeating myself again, but because it does mean so much, it's like I want more people to hear your story. You know what I mean? Like I want more people to experience because like it excites me. Like when anyone when I get to sit down and talk with them, and obviously like especially like with people across the other side. Well, I've never been to America or Canada, and you know, I mean, I've interviewed like McShane over in Japan, you know, and it's like fuck, you know, like, and I do every one of them live, and it's like I say to them, like, dude, you have no idea. It's like I'm sat in a corner of my front room and I'm talking to you live in Japan. It's like I know it's, and that's the thing. Like obviously, most of us that have kids or whatever, like they technology is a big part of their life, and it's like we're not old. We kind of grew up somewhat with it, but it's like more people need to get excited over the fact that we're simply don't take it for granted. Like, don't take it for granted that you're able to sit and talk to someone live. Like, I know, do you know what I mean? Like, it's totally exciting.
But then that's the thing, you know, it's like, it's not to kind of go too deep down a rabbit hole, but it's, you know, people looking at their phones all the time. And like we said again before offline, like, there's not enough social interaction, man. And like doing this and you doing it with people around the fucking world is like it's incredible, you know.
it is, and
it's sticking to that, and then you know, like chat again next year. What's changed? This is a thing, isn't it?
You know, it's like, and it's like for me, like I've been lucky enough to, like I had like Terry, the owner of Lethal Threat. He's based in New York, and like he knew Indian Larry, like, you know. And then I've had like Big Truth from Chopperhead, like. And like he has one of Larry's bikes in his showroom, and it's like I try to say, like, and I always say to my missus, like, after I'm like, I hope people really understand how much this excites me. It's like 12 years old, I watched Discovery Channel, and I thought, what a fucking cool dude. Like, obviously he passed away, and it's like it excites me to know that I'm obviously you're never going to get to meet him; he's gone. But to know that people knew him, to know that I sat and spoke to people, and they've gone, I knew Larry, or you know, I've worked like, and it's like. Because Larry shaped the culture again, you know. Like, and it's like it's so fucking exciting. Like, you know, like it excites me. And I hope people see that, and people need to kind of get like that a bit more, like in their own world. People need to get excited over things because the world's crazy, you know. So it's, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course it is, and it's just like, I mean. That's why you just got to keep doing what you love, you know? And that's, again, not to sound like a broken record, but when
no, mate, I'm always a broken record.
It's doing what you love and like what you believe in and stuff, you know? Like, and the good shit will come, you know? It's like things will come to you with that kind of stuff. And it's, you know, you're reaching out to all these different people and shit like that. And you're chatting to icons that you love, and it's amazing, and telling their story as well. Man, it's fucking nice.
it is, and like some of the most magical bits of it is like, because obviously, you know, I try my absolute hardest to like, I go through people's Instagrams, and like I try to go, right, okay, you know, because at the end of the day, I look at it as, if you're willing to give me your time, like the very least I can do is try to get an understanding of where you've come from, in obviously with whatever you've, you know, let people in the world see on social media. And it's so I tried to get like, obviously I knew you had a sporty, and it was like, right, you know, and then trying to, you know, and what excites me more is like when you drop things like, I worked at that company, or you know, I've worked with these people, and it's like fucking so cool. It's so cool. It's that like I think what it is that it's that human element. It's that shit, like, you know, you can't judge a book by its cover. You know, like I had like, is on Instagram as Ugly North. You know, to listen to North, and he's like, I had private education, like I've got business, like he's doing well for himself, like, and it's like, what's so cool is like people, the average Joe in the world, look at them and think, oh, fucking hell, he's got all these tattoos all over his face. What the fuck does he know? And it's exciting because it's like, don't fucking judge a book by its cover. Like, don't assume. And this is what it's almost like. It's a balance between excitement and anger. Like that whole, like who the fuck are you to like look down on someone because they got tattooed? Like you think you're fucking better. Like, fuck, do you know what I mean? It's like, of course, because I don't talk down to nobody. Like, and I think, and it excites me when someone's achieved probably more than some of these fucking retards in suits. And I don't mean it disrespectfully, but like you got some of these fuckers in suits and that like got an education coming out their ear holes and look down on people because it's like, don't fucking do it. Like don't be that guy,
Which again, with Instagram and all this kind of stuff, it's a positive and a negative with it, like you say, you've got these kind of things and you're just scrolling through and it's so easy to make a judgment about someone, which is fucking wrong. It's totally you're totally right. But then obviously doing shit like this, like you can kind of see what people are like,
Yeah.
And especially in this culture, right? Like
100%, 100%. I mean, recently, so I follow like Aaron Lambo on Instagram, and like recently he put a video out where he's expressing his concerns about podcasting, and like people titling videos for clickbait and like chatting shit on people, and it's like, it's a shit. Like, I've never done that, and it's like it is a shame. It's a shame that some people are wanting to do that and they're getting the numbers, and it's wrong. It's like kind of like going back to like what I'm saying. Like I need to tweak a few bits because I can't lose what my podcast stands for. It's authenticity and that, but at the same time, I need it. I feel that it needs to get bigger.
Yeah,
in numbers. So how do I do that without chatting shit like somebody? And it's obviously not a dig at people directly, but you can't go around fucking talking shit on people, like to get numbers. It's fucking wrong. Like, and you become a keyboard warrior. Like, what are you doing? Do you know?
Yeah. People love drama.
Yeah.
People love drama. That's the reason why, man. Like, and that's fine to love it. It's fucking totally fine. But instead of appealing to the masses with like doing shit that you don't really love, appeal to like the small few that do fucking love it, and it will, and it will grow. Like. Yeah, I'm a firm believer in that, man. Like,
100%, mate. And I think like what I like what I can take from you is like, because I struggle with this, like, not like to put myself in front of a camera, I'm finding it easier, but like I really do struggle with it. And like, it's like I said, I'm at a moment with the podcast where I've got to tweak something, but then to have someone like yourself that's like, do you know what, like, I've been down this journey for over a year with my artwork, and it's just starting to take its own thing, and like stay true to it, because it's important. It's important for somebody, especially like me. Like I've said this a few times on the podcast, like, I get stuck in my own head, mate. My biggest battle in my life is myself. Like, I've achieved so much already through this because I have continued. At the end of the day, it's like, I've said this before, where when you're killing it, when you're smashing it, you're getting what you've aimed to get. Passion isn't there. I've learned recently, especially this last 6-7 months, that passion comes in on the day you don't want to do it. Because at the end of the day, like, let's just say you've just sold your art, you've sold a piece that you spent months on, or whatever it is, right? And like, you've got that. There's no way that at that moment of you handing that piece over to that person, that passion's there. You're excited. That I'm probably not the greatest in explaining it, but I believe that passion comes in when it's like, fuck, like, I don't want to do this today. I'm having a bad day, but I've still picked myself up. That's where I believe passion comes in.
Yeah, of course. And
and
I think it's not forcing creativity.
Yeah,
that's what it is. Like, you're totally right. Like, things are better when it's just like a spark, like, and it just fucking comes to you.
Yeah.
Like, even if you don't want to do it, it's just like, okay, let's just start doing something and like roll the ball. If you force something like that, it's totally the same thing as you said there. Like, you know, if I sit down and I'm drawing a piece or I'm painting a piece or whatever, and I'll be like, shit, you know, I've got to get this done. It'd be shit because I'm forcing it, you know, like it's got to come within a little bit.
100%.
And just 100%. Kind of let it flow out of you and like just let creativity flow and happen as it does.
Yeah, and that's the thing, like, and it's like, it's great, it's incredible that you said that, because like when I've been tattooing in the past, like, and like when you find that sweet spot, like I don't believe there's any drug that can give you the same sensation. And it sounds really fucked up, right? But I've had it where almost like I can't hear the music, time stopped, and it's almost, I know it sounds really fucked up, but it's almost like I'm watching myself tattoo. It's really weird.
Out of body experience.
Mate, it's fucking, and this is like organic, like this is like, I'm not taking any shit. This is like me just like, it very rarely happens.
Yeah.
When it happens, like when it all of a sudden it's like you're humming. It's like, and it's just like, I don't know, it's weird as fuck. Like, especially because I am a person that gets stuck in my fucking head. Like, I get stressed out. I get fucking, start overanalyzing shit. And it's like, I think anybody, if you're able to find something that gives you that feeling, cherish it and run with it and try to nourish it, you know, because.
Yeah, totally. I mean, like, I'd sort of argue that's passionate form. Do you know what I mean? You're doing something that you love to do. You're not really thinking about it, but you know that you're loving it.
Yeah.
You tattooing, whatever it may be, playing music, painting, yada yada.
Yeah.
And it's just happening because you've got it in here, and it's just it's flowing out of you instead of you just being like, fuck, I need to do it. Like, I need to be able to do this.
Yeah.
Like worrying about it a little bit too much. And it kind of goes back to what you were saying, like with the podcast, like getting in your own head with stuff. I was exactly the same with my art. Like, you know, I'd create a piece and I just kept creating pieces. I didn't show them to like anyone. Like if it wasn't for like my missus, crazy horse people, like my family, like my oldest brother, my middle brother, my mum and dad, like showing them it and speaking to them about it, like I wouldn't kind of be where I am now. And I haven't made it or anything, but I've got through to that point where I'm like, fuck it, I'm doing this for me. Like, I'm creating the art. If anyone else likes it around me, that's a total bonus.
So at what point, obviously apart, like, I know you had influence off your family and friends, but at the end of the day, we all know that it takes you to make that switch. Like, at what point did that happen to you? Was it like literally, was it just a one day, like, do you know what? Fuck it.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, I hate to say it, but it's, you know, like you post stuff on Instagram and it's like, not to be like, oh my God, I hope it gets loads of likes and all this kind of shit.
Yeah.
But, you know, it helps, you know. And
it does.
It does help. And you kind of like, that fed into it a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, it's putting it out there. This is the thing, is just taking that little leap of just literally being like, fuck it. It doesn't matter. And there wasn't really kind of a moment in my head, because I was just talking to, like I said, friends, family, whatever it may be, that made it kind of happen. Like, I'm a real believer in the fact I was just like, I'm just going to throw this shit out there and see what sticks. And if people like it, that's a total bonus, you know?
Yeah.
I'm doing it for me at the end of the day. Like,
yeah, man.
If people like it, great, you know? But then, like I said, going back to it, and not that I'm keep trying to name drop and shit, but again, Crazy Horse guys, if they weren't so lovely and like such ace people, that's helped it lift it as well. Do you know what I mean? But
yeah, because you do feel, I mean, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong in saying it, but I personally feel that you do need some form of recognition. I think to create like a bike builder, like there's no way that you don't feel good when someone goes, that's fucking awesome. Like, you know,
yeah, of course.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course. But then that spurs you on, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
It spurs you on a little bit. And man, I'm like, you know, in the arts, in the bike stuff, all that kind of thing. And you know what? In general life, I'm a firm believer in, you know, you get what you give for what you put out. So if you're going to be a dick, if you're going to be a snob, like you're not going to have many mates, or you're just going to kind of just be like, ugh. If you're a nice, friendly person and you're like chatting away to people, people are going to remember you, you know?
Yeah. Which is exactly like what we said earlier, like especially in the custom culture scene, like longevity of it, like you simply cannot take without giving back. You can't, like, people know if you all of a sudden fucking come into a load of money, you're like, right, I want to make a load more, I'm gonna buy a shitload of cool shit to sell. Like, people know that. I don't care how they know it or whatever, or if there is people that have made a lot of money without loving the culture. I don't think there is. I don't, and if they have made money, I don't think they've done it again. Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, totally. But then again, it's just like, I don't know, man. It's just kind of sad, shit like that. Like, it's again, like I said before, it's just like a passing thing. I think, you know, you just kind of let those people do those things, stick to the good people, and it will grow. Like, this is a thing of what you're just saying and what I've been saying before. Like, you know, you do get snobs and stuff like that in the culture. Well, fucking everywhere, man. And like, this shit doesn't make it grow.
No,
does it? Like, and you know, it happens to everyone. You get old, you know, you pass. Not to get too deep, but you want to make it grow, man. Do you know what I mean? You want to keep this shit going. You don't want it to stop, do you? Why would you want it to stop? Like, if you really love it, then you want it to keep it growing.
That's it. And it's like, and I think I say this a lot in everything. Like, it all comes down to balance. It's like, I understand, like the original lads of the culture. Like, I understand them going, oh, what are they doing now? But it's like, well, hang on a minute. You were once that lad that hacked something up that your uncle or uncle's friend looked at you and went, what the fuck are you doing? Like,
100%.
It is about, I also believe it is about respecting the past. Like, at the end of the day, you have to pay homage and, you know, nod the head to where it come from.
Yeah, of course.
But don't be afraid to find your way as well, you know. But obviously, you have to know where it originated to kind of, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but like,
I think you're right, and there's nothing wrong in that. Like, it's, you know, taking inspiration from the past. You're right. I think it's, you know, those people would have made it grow as well. Like, I sound like a proper hippie with everything.
It's fucking awesome, though. No, but that's it, isn't it? Because I think even though, like, technology is moving on so quickly, I think naturally, like, people have had enough. Like, people have had enough of the shit, and that's probably why all of a sudden, like, the 70s, 60s, 70s style of choppers and that whole vibe has come so massive, because people are like, I can't do any more of this fake shit. Like, you know, which obviously the knock-on effect is like people like us, people that have grown up around the stuff, like the dads rode them 70s bikes, like they're real bikes of that era. Like, they've just managed to get their hands on their dad's bike or their friend's uncle or whatever. It's like, well, now people buy that, and it's like, hang on a minute, I've seen this bike my whole life. You know, it's like, what are you doing? But it's like I say, it's just balancing it. It's
totally, and it's, you know, it's money. It's fucking money, and it's no sort of like, I mean, it's amazing for people to have that kind of money, and, you know, you can go and you can buy it like that, right? It's great for them, and I totally agree with you. It's like, it's shit, but what I'd kind of say is there's no sense of achievement there.
No.
You know, like, let's say, for example, you know, you want to build your dream bike or whatever it may be, and you're buying a part here and there, and it's just like, it's going to take a lot of time, but fuck me, at the end of that, it's going to be way, way sweeter when you finished it. You've taken all that time instead of just going in and being frivolous and just paying for shit like that and that and that. Same with an art piece, man. Like,
sure.
You know, it takes me lots of time, like a long, long time, and at the end of it, I'm like, fuck, I've made it. That's cool. That's what another one down. It's exactly the same thing. It's about achievement, you know.
What is your average time on a, or is it dependent on how big it is and what's involved? Is there an average?
Yeah, it's normally the latter, man. Like, it kind of depends. You know, like I said, excuse me. I wish this was my full-time job, but it's not, you know. But normally it's probably like, you know, like a month, good couple of weeks,
Wow.
maybe, like, just depending here and there, like windows that I get. If I've got a deadline, like, I kind of fucking shoot myself up the arse a little bit.
Yeah.
And work a little bit better under pressure. So yeah, but like a good couple of weeks normally it would take.
Do you feel if it was your full-time job that it would still give you the same feeling of when you're in the moment? I think it's I think it's a great question, because I think, and I'm a massive, like how you're a believer in stick to it, it comes. I believe everything's balanced. I think when I would first learn to tattoo, and don't get me wrong, I'm nowhere near, like, I don't rank myself anywhere near the greats. Like, I know I've got a lot to learn, but like, I think, like, going back to my journey so far in the tattoo world, like, I'm self-taught. I set up a little bedroom. I had all laminate floor. I had it with a proper little setup, and was the greatest time for me tattooing. I was in, and I weren't tattooing every day, you know, and I wasn't under pressure. I wasn't in a walk-in shop.
Yeah.
Like, do you think it would still have the same feeling?
Yeah, man, it's a really good question, because you could totally argue, like, it's turning your passion into work, isn't it?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, like, if you're, you know, you're doing something that you love every day, and it's not just like, it's just turning into like a normal mundane job.
Yeah.
Which I kind of believe, but at the same time, from a personal perspective, you know, art is super subjective, man, and you can grow it in loads of different avenues.
Yeah.
So if I was to do it full time, or I hope that I can do it full time, it just gives me more room to be creative, man, and just grow it a bit more, you know, and just think of more ideas, and, you know, support family and stuff with doing stuff that I love. It's that sense of achievement again, man, you know.
And that's it. Like, that's like kind of me with this whole thing of, like, I know I've said it loads of times on the podcast, but like, at one point I was like, fucking hell, I can monetize the podcast. I could get advertisers on it. And then I realized very quickly after that it would lose what it stood for. So now I'm, like I said off air earlier, like, now I'm learning on how can I build something around it that gives value back to people. And the idea is that if I can do this, and I can support my family off this, and you know, like, how, and I think for me, and it'd be interesting to know what your thoughts are on your journey, is like, there is an unknown. Like, I don't know how I'm going to do it. I just believe that I'm going to do it. And I think that's magical. I think that whole, you know what I mean? Sometimes not having that answer, I think, it's cool as fuck.
Yeah, of course it is. Well, it's the fear of the unknown, so to speak. It's like not always a bad thing, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's I think as well, though, it's kind of like being your own boss. You know, you've got no one to answer to but yourself, really, at the end of the day. And I think that's a beautiful thing. Like, you're just working for yourself, which is important. But you're right. I think it's visualizing that, man, as well. You know, it's all a journey at the end of the day. Like, I kind of think if something's going to happen, and you kind of push and you keep thinking, it should happen. You know, it should happen. There'll be obstacles along the way and the shit, but that's just is what it is. You know, that's just life in general.
It's exciting. It's exciting. It is exciting, especially it's exciting because we live in such a fucking fake world right now. You know, it's exciting. Like this moment that, like, where, like, to see, like, the look on your face of, like, how, like, it's magical and exciting and, like, unexplainable. I think it's the fact that sometimes there is simply not a clear explanation to like the feeling that you get inside, like when you're creating something, or when you're on this journey, and like how it make. And I mean, it kind of probably sounds a bit fucking whatever. Like, my problem is, like, in my podcast and things, like, I get frustrated with myself because sometimes I feel I lack the right words. But people, when I say to people like I'm mumbling that, they're like, "No, that's cool. We get where you're coming from." It like at the end of the day, when you met your missus and that unexplainable feelings, it's obviously what we know as love, like whatever. It's a very it's magical to have an unexplainable thing, and if you can create that in art and make a living out of it and whatever, I think especially in the world right now, because the world's so fucking fake, you know.
Man, totally. But like again, it does kind of go back to just doing what you believe in and doing what you love.
Yeah,
like, there's a lot of different parts. Like, the world now is really tough. Like, it's fucking hard. It's hard for everyone, man. And like, again, I'm kind of going back to that sense of achievement of like, I could easily tomorrow would just like go do like a full-time job and like just earn the money, come home, pay the bills, just like standard life.
Yeah,
cool, whatever. That's totally cool. But fuck that, man. It's boring.
yeah.
It's just like having some excitement about stuff, like having a passion. This is a thing.
Yeah,
no
definitely.
matter what it is, like no matter what your passion is, it's sticking to that, and that's what makes life good, right? You know? It's
100%. And if you can, like say, if you can able to find a balance where you can sustain, you can support a family through that.
totally.
Like, I think it's magical. I think, like say, it's because it all comes down to balance. Because obviously, the last thing you want to do is start making, like, especially with your art being that it's all like organic. It's like I can imagine there'll be a bit that you're going, oh shit, I don't like that. The old me would have changed that, but now the guy, I've got bills to pay. Now the guy's waiting for that piece, and it's like, at what point do you, like? I can imagine it's really hard. Like
it is hard, man. Yeah, totally. Yeah, but then I think that kind of goes back again to being your own boss. It's just like, if someone was to buy a piece, then it's time invested in that.
Yeah, exactly.
You take the time to it, and you work for yourself at the end of the day. Like, it's about the journey, man.
I think it's incredible. I think it's cool what you're doing, and obviously, man. I think it'll be. I think especially when you start doing more paint work like that on bikes, like actual tin work and crash helmets. I think that is it's gonna take you to that next stage, not another level, because obviously it's already a level and achievement what you've done and what you're doing.
Yeah.
I think there'll be a lot of people that would love to have that artwork on their bikes,
if they trust me.
I think so, and I think because, like you say, because people want stuff that's just real now. At the end of the day, it's like hydro dipping's cool as hell and that, but it ain't. It's cool, but it ain't like made by man. Like it isn't.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's like it's being like I like to give a personal touch with stuff. Yeah. Like I've done a few commissions recently. Actually done one for a friend's girlfriend, and like. He's like really into she's really into like jazz and stuff like that. So in the piece and stuff, there's loads of like hidden jazz musicians, or do you know what I mean? Things like that. Making stuff personable to someone gives me a kick as well.
Yeah.
It's like, fuck, I love that. Or like they're into like the Jabberwocky. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's cool. In there, and little things like that, just to kind of give it a personal touch for people, like it's important, man.
Yeah, I think artwork's so fucking. I think it's like at the end of the day, it's like technically, why would you? It's just a painting or whatever. Like, and I say it like it's just a painting. That it's not necessarily gonna give you anything back like that you need. But at the end of the day, as human beings, we seek emotions. Like however, whatever the type of artwork it is, like. I've got on my wall, I've got the, it's fucking huge. We got the 100 Years of Film. It's, the actual iconic painting where it's got all the movie characters. And like, we had it belonged to my missus' family for a long time. We were lucky enough to become the new owners of it, and look after it for years to come. But like, I found only a couple of years ago when I put it where I live now, is you look through between two of the characters, and there's there's the Hollywood sign. It's like so, and it's a huge. I mean, measuring wise, it's probably. I'm looking at it now. It's probably 1.5 meters long by like
Right.
1 meter wide. You know, it's we don't. And my missus' granddad bought it, and we don't know the actual history of. Obviously, it won't be the original, but
Yeah.
knowing that it would, knowing him, it would have been like a special run, printed run. You know, it wouldn't have just been. Do you know what I mean? And it's like,
Yeah,
how fucking cool, like, you know, and it's just, you look at it and you can, like you said earlier, like, you get lost in it. Like,
of course. Yeah,
the more you look,
yeah.
the more you see. It's it's incredible, right?
It's a piece of an artist. Do you know what I mean? That's why, like, someone's done that. You know, same with mine. Like, I've put my time and effort into that, and my creativity into that. Yeah, man, for it to sit on a wall, like, and if someone gets a kick out of looking at it or whatever it may be, then a bonus.
That's it. That's
a bonus. Yeah.
And obviously, you know, being that, like I say, you're obviously onto a right thing, like being invited over to America, working with the guys at Crazy Horse. You know, these aren't. I mean, at the end of the day, anyone that appreciates art is an equal person. Like, there's no Crazy Horse have appreciated it, so you're more important. That's not what we're saying here. It's like, when you've got big hitters in our world of the custom culture world that are starting to show you appreciation, you start to really know that you're onto the right path. You know, you're starting to
believe in yourself a little bit, basically.
Yeah,
believe in yourself, which kind of goes back to, like, you know, not being afraid to push it out there, man. Like,
exactly.
People's, and like, I'm totally guilty for it as well. People, like, your own worst enemy.
Worst.
At the end of the day, you know, and it's just taking that little dive, you know, just like.
But I think, like for example, when I do a tattoo, and like the customer's absolutely buzzing, like, and I'll sit there and, you know, by the time I've tidied up, like, cleaned everything away, and like whether I've got home or whether when I was working from home, you know, they're absolutely buzzing, and they send you a message saying, "Oh, great, thanks very much, can't wait to come back." And then you'll look at the picture and zoom in and go, "Do you know, I could have done that better. I could have done that better." And then other people go, "Why are you ripping yourself so much?" It's like, well, if you didn't rip yourself, would you be on a journey and the progression that you're on? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I think there's that. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Like, well, well, again, it's growing, isn't it? Like, it's, you know, being a critic to your own work. It's just, but again, that's how you grow shit, isn't it? You're like, if you want to, it's good to analyze yourself, you know, and kind of just be like, okay, that was shit. I'm not going to do that kind of shit again, or I didn't really like that bit there. But I think that's a positive thing, you know. I don't think that's a negative thing at all. Like,
no,
because what you or I or anyone, you know, may think, oh, that bit looks shit, they love.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's only through one set of eyes.
Yeah. And that's what, do you know what? And that's crazy you say that like that, because I say to people, like, art is whatever you perceive it to be. Like,
totally.
Do you know what I mean?
Totally.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you know, I've had people go, "Oh, I couldn't be an artist. I couldn't be an artist because I can't draw." And I'm like, "You can draw." Like, no, I can't. I said, no. I said, what you can't do is you can't see. And they're like, "What do you mean you can't see?" And it's like, no, I don't mean it sarcastically either. Like, I started reading the Betty Edwards "How to Draw on the Right Side of the Brain." You know, I think a lot of artists have read that book, and like she explains like how she was an art professor, and one of her close colleagues was whatever you call them that study the brain, right? And obviously they believe that if you're left-handed, it's the left hemisphere that sees, but it's the right hemisphere that processes, and vice versa, right?
Got you right.
And again, don't quote me on all this because it was a long time I read it, but like she explains a scenario where she's got a group of students, and the idea was that they had to draw a vase with an orange in front of it, and every week they'd obviously attempt to draw it, and most of the students struggled with it. and one of the students come in one week and presented her with a really good drawing. And she said to him, was like, "How have you managed to do that now?" And the student said, "Well, I can see it now." And she was like, "Well, what do you mean you can see it?" And it's like, well, like when you're trying to draw a cylinder, like on paper, it looks like a flat circle, but like see how I like to do like black and grey horror stuff, and like I try to imagine the side of it that you don't see.
Yeah.
So I try to imagine as I'm coming round to do the darkest points on the portrait, I try to obviously I have to get the edges as dark as possible, but I'm almost imagining that I'm seeing it sounds really fucked up, right? But it's the fact that I think that everyone can draw to an amazing level if that's what you want to do, like hyper realism. But I think it's just simply like you can't see it. Like because that's weird to explain, but like, do you know what I mean? Like
totally, yeah. But I'd kind of say that's where the creative element comes in.
Yeah,
you know, and you've just kind of been like you're rolling with it. You know, you're just letting it go with it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I totally get what you mean. Yeah, I'd say that's like a creative side of it, you know, where you're not just looking at something and drawing it or painting it or whatever it may be. That's where the creative ideas kind of come in and sculpt it your own way. Like,
but and that's like, see, I couldn't do what you do. Like, I don't. My brain isn't at a moment where it's ready to accept this uncontrollable thing.
Mess.
But no, of course it's not a mess. But it's like especially like for me, like, and I think I'm simply, and this is kind of going back to like what Betty Edwards says, like, I don't see it. I can't see what you can see. You know what I mean? And that's kind of my point. Like, the fact that our students couldn't draw a hyper realistic vase and orange is because their brains couldn't see it.
Yeah.
And that sounds weird, but I say it's magical, but it's weird. Like
differently, didn't they? Everyone all sees shit completely differently, and that's why, you know, like I couldn't tattoo, like I couldn't draw, you know, a piece how you maybe draw it or whatever. It's just, it's everyone being different, isn't it? It's mad.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
100%. I think, like I say, it's been fucking awesome. I think we'll wrap it up there before I just send you into a fucking like, what the fuck's this dude on about? What the fuck?
No. I've like massively appreciated it, man. It's been like amazing chatting and stuff.
And obviously we'll meet up. I know we've had custom cult. We've had Jake on Jake. I apologize if we get your name wrong. I'm fucking shit with names, but we've had Custom Culture Blast Off on in the live on Instagram saying fucking awesome stuff, guys. And so obviously I'm going to get to meet you then. And I'm hoping to get down to the 101 run. I have been speaking to the guys, and
cool, man.
It's a long old 101 down in Margate, isn't it?
Margate, yeah.
So I'm up here, so it's about a 5-hour drive for me, I think.
Yeah, man. It's worth it. It's cool. It's good, man. Like,
I'd love to get down there. Love to get down.
If you get down, if not, then I'll see you in September. You know?
Yeah, man. Yeah, for sure. So, people that want to get some artwork, what is the best way to get hold of you?
Basically through my Instagram, Sheriff's Dirty. At the moment, I'm building my website's kind of going back through a bit of change at the moment, so I'm kind of just rebuilding it at the moment. Contact me through my Instagram page. You can, there's a link on there to my website. You can email me as well if you want.
Yeah.
Basically, I can do like custom pieces for you, all that kind of shit. But yeah, if you want to see it in the flesh, come to the 101 or come to Custom Culture, man.
Awesome, because I can imagine that pictures don't really do it justice. You know, I think that's the thing with artwork is pictures give you an idea, but I don't think they do it justice.
Totally, yeah. I'm gonna at the 101 try and do a bit of live painting as well. So
that'd be sick.
Yeah, man. And I'll probably do it Custom Culture as well if I've got some room and shit to do. So, but yeah, you're totally right, man. You got to see it in the flesh. And
before I let you go,
yeah, of course.
Where did the idea for the name Sheriff's Dirty? I mean, that's some proper fucking awesome shit. Like it sums up like the whole American nostalgia, like psychedelic. That's the idea in my head. I'm like, I can just see some proper redneck hillbilly, like, yeah, fuck you, man, type of shit on my chopper, like the Sheriff's Dirty. Like, that's the idea in my head. Right.
It's it's slightly anticlimactic, I'd say.
Right.
So a long time ago, and on my personal page, Dirty Sheriff,
Right.
A really good friend of mine, Bobby, who's an artist as well. He's a tattoo artist now, but Bobby Abbey's insane, man. He's really, really cool. Lives up north. When I was at uni, where we met, I was DJing. So I was like, used to DJ quite a bit, like old records, a lot of Sabbath, shit like that.
Yeah, man.
And put on a night with a friend, and they were like, well, you need a name. Like, you totally need a name. So I went back to the boys and went back to Bobby. Shout the blue. It was just like, Dirty Sheriff. And I was like, and that just totally stuck. Like, I wish it was some kind of mad story that I rode onto a horse and into a ball of flames or some shit. But
that's equally as cool, though. That's equally as cool, because it's like, again, goes back to like this magical, there's no explanation. It's unexplainable. Yeah. That's what it was. Bang. And totally. How cool is that? You know?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So it was a DJ name, basically, Dirty Sheriff. And then I just wanted to switch around for my art page, Sheriff's Dirty. You know,
Sheriff's Dirty. To be fair, has an easier sound to it, doesn't it? Sheriff's Dirty.
It does. Yeah. A little bit more PG, I'd say. As well.
Yeah. Yeah. I think one of your live shows, man. I'm thinking, get some fucking sheriff's outfit, right? Gravy stained vest, box of Marlboro hanging out the top, mate, and the fucking mate.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like with the old American cans of beer, like with the fucking with the chewing tobacco, like that.
I'll have to be a little bit careful I don't turn into a bit of a Magic Mike show, you know.
Fucking awesome, mate. I know. I just
no one wants to see that. But yeah, dude, like,
love it.
You know, and I've rolled with that, and you know, leopard print is kind of just been on brand with it, and I love that shit, man. So
it's sick, mate. At the end of the day, like you say, it's trying to, like, you're on an incredible journey creating your own identity in a world that's easily to get lost in. Like, artwork is incredible across the board, but there's so many incredible artists, and it's obviously become harder to create your own identity, which I think's awesome that you're on that path. You know, people in America aren't asking you over, and Crazy Horse aren't interacting with you if you're doing something wrong. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right, man. Yeah, totally. I appreciate that.
Awesome.
It's about being a good person, you know.
Definitely, mate. Yeah. I am going to let you go. So obviously, people that do want to get hold of you, Sheriff's Dirty on Instagram, and you do have a website. Website name is
it's Sheriff's Dirty.
Sheriff's Dirty, which obviously is under a bit of work at the moment, but it's still open, because I've been on your website. The website is there, but obviously at the moment it's being cleaned up and sorted out and
basically
whatnot.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It's got a link in my bio there, but if not, just drop me a message. You know.
Sweet, mate. Well, thank you very much, Simon. I appreciate. Thanks for putting up with my crazy shit.
No, man, it's been amazing. It's been honestly sick. Yeah, it's been lovely talking to you, man, and so everyone else who listens, man.
Yeah. We've had Instagram's been quite engaging. There's been quite a few people on the old gram.
Cool, man.
Which has been awesome.
Well, I hopefully get to meet some of you if they come to the show, and I'll look forward to meeting you, dude.
Definitely. I'm gonna hit the old end stream button.